Do you feel stuck in cycles of healing, of introspection? Do you feel like you can't move forward because there's constantly a new trauma coming up? Do you feel like you're consistently finding a new pattern in yourself that needs to be worked through? That you can't be around others because the energy is too much? You need to clear spaces before you walk into them. Are you in a place of permanent healing? Or are you frustrated? Are you frustrated because you're visualizing, you're following the law of attraction, you're doing your affirmations, and you're not getting anywhere? Are you frustrated because you're trying to manifest your dreams, but you feel like with all the talk of abundance, it never seems available to you? Well, in this video, we're going to break down why you get stuck healing, why you keep looping in trauma, and why your manifestations aren't coming to you, why you can't create the life that you deserve. Welcome. This is a video where we talk about and simplify spirituality. Creating with Light is a channel where I attempt to distill and simplify New Age spiritual concepts in a world where it is saturated, where social media is saturated with spiritual concepts, with tools and techniques. It is so easy on our internal and subjective path to get lost and confused and go down paths and cycles and spirals and never feel like we're enough and we're getting to where we need to go, or we're not good enough in who we are. So this video, we're going to talk about a spiritual dilemma that I see people fall into, I've fallen into, and I think is a really important distinction for people to know on their path so they can adjust accordingly and they can just navigate the waves of spirituality easier in their life. And that dilemma I find people fall into is they're either healing and they're stuck healing consistently. They may be the friend that people know of as the deep friend. You may be the person where people are like, man, you have deep thoughts, or you don't like small talk and you just want to go to the nitty gritty. I remember when I went to a men's circle and it was a space holding men's circle, and they pass around the microphone and men witness you. They don't do anything but witness what you say. It's a circling event. I felt like when I went there, every time that microphone got in my hands, I had to dig deep. And I would go deep into my body. And I didn't know these people. I felt relatively safe with these people, but my body did not feel safe with how I was penetrating its depths to try and share some content for healing, because I thought that I needed to bring up the nitty-gritty, deep, dark, emotional turmoil I was going through to add value into this healing space. I realized that wasn't the case. I could show up there light. I could show up there good. I didn't need to bring depth. I didn't need to bring emotional substance to be looked at. I could just be okay with my feelings and enjoying the day and grateful. So I know what it's like, and I've seen people go into this one perspective, which is a healing perspective. And then there's another perspective, which is a stream of spirituality, which is rooted in the law of attraction. It's rooted in this manifesting identity, this creator identity, which is ultimately who we are. We are creators. We are innate beings of power, of life. We're organic, authentic creators in this time and space. We have come here to build a reality, to see energy manifest, to see our dreams manifest into life. And there's a big stream and a big oversaturation on social media of the abundance of life and the abundance of spirituality, the love and light, where if you just do your affirmations, if you do your visualizations, if you work hard, if you grind, if you hustle, if you do all of this, you're going to be able to get what you want. And in many cases, that can work very well. And people have great experience of manifesting. I'm a big fan of manifesting. I think we are innate creators. It's so natural. And there's these two streams, these two perspectives I see people fall into and loop in. It's one where they're healing and they're looping and healing. They never feel enough. They always feel like under the surface, out of their reach, out of their grasp, there is something they need to heal, overcome, transmute for themselves. Could be for the collective, could be for their patients, their clients. It's the wounded healer. It's never good enough. They're always slightly unconsciously unsatisfied with the state they are in their body, mind, heart, and energy. That's one, the healing loop. Then there's the creating frustration, the creator identity, the creator path, where we are manifesting our dreams and our reality. Goddess slay, like awaken king, ground down, like channel that golden energy to create your life. And it's great. It's full of spiritual terms. It is loaded. It's rich. It's exciting. It's the peaks of energy. It's the kundalini. It's the rousing up the energy. It's the manifestation. It's the sex magic. It's all of this. And it feels incredible. But for a lot, it is also deeply frustrating because they hit walls and they hit blocks and they start to manifest. They start with their affirmations, but deep down the affirmations are hollow, they're not real, and they're inauthentic. There's no energy behind them. This isn't for everyone, but if you're finding yourself in this place, and you will find yourself in this place throughout your journey, it's not black or white. For 3-4 weeks, you could be doing your affirmations, doing your intention setting, your journaling, and man, it feels good. And then that 4th week, you hit a wall and it frustrates and it doesn't feel real anymore. It doesn't feel aligned or authentic, but you keep going and you keep trying to manifest through that. That is a block we can hit, and it is frustrating. And so what I see are these 2 streams of spiritual perspectives that people get in, and you need to know that they're hand in hand, essential for each other. We've got to know when it's time to heal, and we've got to know when it's time to create. Now, it's not as black or white as one or the other. They often weave and flow in between each other. But knowing where to direct your focus and what your being and your personality and your soul or energy is calling forth from you is very important. There's a time to heal and there's a time to create. The healing perspective is here because we are multifaceted beings. We are, in my perspective, not one self. We are a collection of many perspectives within us. Our own individual perspective, our perspective accumulated from past lives, our ancestors, our collective, our social perspective. We are a very beautifully complex tapestry of a being. And when we come into healing, we are attempting to unify this tapestry. We're attempting to bring a unity of our identity into the self, because the self is one. It's the one within the many, and within you is the one within the many. What can happen is over past lives, through this life, very much through childhood, through relationships, even lingering ancestral energies, past life experiences, we go through these situations, often at a soul level intentionally, to experience a traumatic event. But what happens is when we don't have the capacity as a soul or as a being or a personality to integrate that traumatic event, we fragment. And when we fragment, a part of our consciousness stays in that experience. And the way it stays in that experience is because in that moment we experience that, we develop a personality structure to justify and protect our soul from that moment or to deal with that moment. And what that can lead to is, in this present moment, as we are present beings right now, all parts are within us. So if we have a childhood where we fragmented heavily, And it's not a disorder, this can happen at a subtle and an unconscious level. These are just defense mechanisms of the personality, the energy, and the soul. It's natural. It does not mean there is a heavy disorder. If there's deep trauma, that may happen too, like dissociative identity disorder. There are layers and levels to this. But for the individual healing themselves, who is on the spiritual path, it does not need to, it can be, and that's important to have discernment on, it does not need to be a heavy label or a disorder. But a defense mechanism of the mind is to fragment. And our energy can fragment and be bound up and held in certain memories, energy centers in the body, the physical body itself, the emotions, can stay stuck. And they stay stuck through negative belief systems. We create these negative belief systems when we experience these traumatic events as a way of containing, dealing with, and either shutting out or never opening back up into that moment, like a burn, a very sensitive burn. This is like the protective layer, the shell, or the force field around it. This can happen unconsciously. And when we heal, what we're doing is going back to those fragmented selves and finding the negative belief systems, consciously witnessing them, holding them in a state of love, releasing the belief system, letting it be, seeing the emotional, mental, energetic content that was frozen and fragmented, and embracing it back into the self. And when we embrace it back into the self, there is pure love there, and it is transmuted. And you can now rest in your consciousness in this present moment, generally with a lot more wisdom about yourself and who you are. So when we're healing, there's a lot of tools for this. Hearts work, journaling, therapy, energy work, Reiki. There's so many healing tools that are not necessarily directed towards creating, but they're directed towards introspection and healing. And it is so important to know those tools. And we offer those tools at Creating with Light. So important to know what tools are going to work for you, what you relate to, what resonate for you, and to apply them. But there comes a point when you've done enough of that digging, you've come to a place of relative peace. And it's an interesting place because you'll be healing, and it's turmoil and it's all this, and you're feeling great, you're feeling relief. And at a certain point, you just won't feel the need to dig so deep. It'll start to lose its appeal, or you just won't feel like you need to heal. And maybe you'll start having some judgments about that. You think you're not doing the work. You're straying from your spiritual path, or you're not healing. And it's not true. Sometimes it's true, and that's a bit confusing, but sometimes you need to go in there. But if you're starting to feel that natural drift away from the healing, it's because your energy is freeing up. You're becoming a being in this present moment. We're not a being that's eternally healing. We're a full and whole and complete being. And we're integrating our life experiences, creating our reality ahead of us, and birthing a new future, bringing forth, building a new future, co-creating with others. So if you're coming to a place where you're feeling that drift, or you feel like you're constantly digging, and you reflect into yourself, if you really ask yourself, say, what's my relationship with healing? How much healing am I doing? Is it interrupting my relationships? Is it interrupting my ability to live and work and engage in life and play and connect with significant others? If you assess your relationship to your healing and you're feeling good, this is a permission or sharing a concept with you that you don't need to keep digging. You don't need to go to another breathwork session, or you don't need to do those tools that brought you into those depths that now don't feel that aligned to you. And you'll notice, because it almost feels like you're hurting yourself a little bit. And when healing turns into hurting, it's because we're digging into places that don't need to be dug into anymore. Our consciousness doesn't need to slice into that. It doesn't need to reveal and open up. We're just reopening wounds for that insight again, because there's a rush in healing where you feel it and you figure something out, and it's that that self insight, that relief. And that's very validating when we're healing. And we've got to be careful not to get stuck on that loop of reopening a wound, getting that insight, validating, releasing. So when we're at that stage where we're feeling that, we can transition, we can move from a healing perspective to a creating perspective. And this is a different one. This is where the affirmations come in. This is where the joy comes in. This is where the love, the experimentation, the play, the thinking and dreaming and visualizations come in. Because you now have the energy accessible to you to flow into a reality of your choosing. You are no longer bumping up against blocks that are stopping you from creating the reality of your choice, the reality you desire that is inherently yours. And so we move into this creator identity and this creator state. And that is when we can really start directing, releasing, allowing, receiving abundance. There's, again, many tools for this. There's a law of attraction, there's Abraham Hicks, there's a lot of channelers on YouTube. There's journaling, there's joy that you can go out and, dance if that's your thing, or you can join a group or do a sport. Anything that's bringing life and energy in that moment is exploring your being and creating more of the reality you want. And you can claim that. So there is a time we do shift into this creative playing state with the universe. And you'll stay there for a bit, and you'll grow, and you'll set goals, and it'll be incredible. And you'll feel like you've healed, and you'll come to a place where you said you've done the work, and you'll feel like you've done the work. And now you're ready to create and manifest. And maybe dreams come to you. You want to give back. You want to create a podcast or a YouTube or a yoga studio. You want to become a breathwork facilitator. And that's incredible, because that's an expression of your soul. That's the energy of play and service coming out of you to share this experience that you've had with others. That is a powerful place to be in. Carry on with that for as long as the energy feels aligned. But you will inevitably bump up into a place, maybe months down the line, maybe years down the line, maybe days down the line, you'll hit a place where there'll be a block and you'll be frustrated, or you'll have an overwhelm of emotions of despair, maybe frustration, maybe depression. Maybe it won't feel aligned to you anymore, and you'll wonder what happened. Where did it go? Where did that motivation go? Where did that feeling of excitement and energy go? Feel like you've gone a few steps back. You won't know why, and you may beat yourself up. And I'm saying you don't need to. These are the natural rhythms and cycles of your spiritual path. And this is an internal spiritual path, so it's completely subjective. We have coaches, mentors, guides, all these influencers out there that may pitch a program, may sell this or that. But at the end of the day, your energy is changing day by day by day, and your soul is exploring the many dimensions of itself constantly. And on a spiritual path, we're accelerating that process. So you're exploring many dimensions of yourself. So the program that worked for you, or the technique that worked for you previously, may not be aligned to you right now. And you may feel like you've lost a zest, or you've lost something. You haven't lost anything. You've just gone to that next level where your capacity's increased, your energy's increased, your higher self is ready to take you to another level, and you can receive a new lot of healing. You can digest, you can integrate new aspects of yourself. We don't get given the entirety of ourselves all at once. So as you're creating, you'll go to a new level. And as they say, there's a devil at every level. It's no devil. It's your own self-expression and discovery. And more parts of you that get called to be loved and healed and expressed will come up. That's when you know it's time to maybe slow down, sit with yourself. It might feel uncomfortable because the energy's been so proactive for a while. You've been getting it, you've been loving it, you've been experiencing life, and it's okay. We can slow. We can go within. We can say, what do I need now to recalibrate. What will nourish me? What in me is asking to be explored and asking to be discovered once again? And then we create the space of healing. We don't need to stop creating altogether. We just lovingly come back into our heart. We introspect a little bit. We discover new tools. We remember old tools. And we lovingly grow into more of ourselves. So just remember that these two perspectives are always going to play out in your spiritual path. You're going to be ebbing and flowing between healing and creating. Don't get stuck in one or the other. Just know it's a constant dance. It's a constant balance. And the more you master yourself, the more you'll feel what you need in the moment. And the more tools and mastery and techniques you have, the more will be at your disposal. So I'm here to simplify these concepts, share some spiritual concepts. Hopefully it's my intention to assist you on your spiritual journey, to bring a bit of clarity and to just get you over that next level so you can rest in the eternal moment here, connected to spirit, and we can continue co-creating. This is my offering to you. I'd love to hear any thoughts you have about this, any of your experiences with healing or creating, or any tools and techniques you've used, any insights you may have. I would love to hear them in the comments below. And thank you for taking the time to be with me in this moment and integrate this video and share that with me.